I have been so blessed recently that my daughter Ruby, 12 years old, has been joining me in my sewing studio, and we are having so much fun creating some projects. So today we're going to do a very simple skirt with an elastic waistband just using 1 yard of fabric. Let's get started. The kicker for this project was Moda Fabric's brand new 100% rayon batik. Now, rayon itself as a fabric is fantastic, especially used in garment because it's got a fantastic flow and drape to it. It's just beautiful the way it moves this way. Very washable. It also has a nice cool hand on it, or an actual cool feel to the fiber itself when using it. That's why you see it like in cool neck rolls and eye pillows. So I wanted to do something very fun for you today. So we're literally using 1 yard of batik, and we're gonna make these skirts. I'm gonna show you how to make this cool skirt that's got the rounded circular bottom, or nothing other than adding the elastic, this really cool version. I hope you can see those triangle points, and they're really cool and really fun, and the young ladies are wearing them. Of course, my daughter, I recommend she has her legging on underneath because they get a little breezy at times, but nonetheless, they're super, super fun. So let's walk you through these projects. I'm gonna tell you how to do both at the same time, so follow along. Okay, and also to point out, I have a printable in the description below that'll show you how to do these measurements, basically. But you need 1 yard of your Moda 100% rayon. That's really important, I believe, the 100% rayon for the drape, batik. And I'm taking it and I'm folding it right now to make basically a perfect square, but I'm keeping track of where that point is. That tip is going to be really, really important. Okay, so I'm going to lay that here where we can use that. Now, starting with the rounded skirt, if we want the rounded edge as we go around here, we're going to want to cut this edge out here circular. We need this tip in place for both the waist cut and the outer cut, so we would cut the outer cut first if we're making a circle. Wow, that's an awfully big arc, Rob. How are we going to do that? Real simple, really. What I do is I use a Sharpie marker and a string, and basically I'm gonna leave the cap on because I don't want to mark right now because I'm gonna show you and sew you this square, right? But I'm gonna pretend like we're gonna cut for the round. So I'm just kind of holding my Sharpie marker out here, and then I'm gonna take my tip and I'm holding it nice and taut, and I would just kind of do little dab marks like this as I go around, and I'm basically drawing myself a dotted line that then I would just take the rotary cutter, pull that out, make sure this is nice and secure, and then I would rotary cut that arc as I go around. Once that arc is cut, simple double rolled finish, and I'll show you at the machine how that works, and the bottom is completely done. But like I said, I'm leaving myself a square. It's actually a rectangle, 45 by 36. Now for the skirt with those really fun points. Waist size. This is where it's custom for everybody. So what I want you to do, and you don't have to say the number out loud, you're gonna take your waist size, go around and take your actual measurement. So this one's gonna be another one for my dear Ruby, so she's a 27. So I have this 2-inch piece of waistband elastic, and this is a special elastic that's got nice stretch and give, but it's really soft. So if it's actually against your skin, it's gonna be comfortable. It's not gonna be that rigid elastic that we find sometimes, and that's why we put it in casings. So nonetheless, this is cut to 27 because Ruby is a 27-inch waist, and we're gonna need that to insert. I needed to know that it was 27 inches for the waist because I need to know how wide to make my circle, or how big of an arc here. So there's a measurement. I won't tell you how I figured it out. If you love geometry, you know where it comes from. But you're gonna take your waist size, that 27 inches for us, and I'm gonna divide it by 6.28 so that I know how far to make my radius, or the distance from here out to this arc. Fortunately, Ruby came up just under 8 inches for that, and I like to add at least 1/4 of an inch for the sewing we're gonna do. So what I'm actually gonna do is use my little cool rotary compass because it was set right at 8. So I'm gonna set this point right down here at the tip and open up that blade there, and I'm just gonna use it as a regular rotary cutter right now, and I'm gonna come through here and I'm cutting that circle out, and I should have told you to double check. Make sure I was at the corner. Of course, I've been practicing this video all morning, so I'm hoping I was at the corner. We'll know here in a second because we're just gonna open this up. And fortunately, I have it correct. I have a circle right there in the middle. And I also wanted to do this video as basically as quickly as we can so you can see how fast these projects go. We're gonna go ahead and prepare to hem the square, the outer edge. So I'm going to the raw edge, the edge that was cut, not the selvage edge. And I'm going to do an easy double fold. So about 1/4 and 1/4. And I roll it over there. And then I just bring it right into my sewing machine. Now I also have polyester thread in the needle and in the bobbin today because I'm doing a garment. And I should have pointed out, I don't think I said this at the beginning of the video, because it's a garment, you should always consider pre-washing a few times to get all the shrinkage out. For this video, I cut it straight off of the bolt. That's why it looks so crisp, but rayon itself will wash up beautifully. So anyways, just pointing that out real quick. Here we go with our double fold hem, and I'm gonna do this on both of the raw edges. You probably don't need to see much of it, so I'm gonna bounce into caffeinated mode, and I'll be back to show you how to handle that selvage edge. See you in a second. All right, so we are now just finishing up the second side where I had that double rolled hem. That was the raw edge side. So now I'm just on to the selvage basically. So the selvage is the side that they use it to pull it through or to anchor it to the machinery and whatnot. And so anyways, it's a finished edge. So I can do a single fold. So I know this is the wrong side. So I'm just gonna bring this over one time now, and that's just to eliminate bulk in the corner. You could double fold it if you wanted it to, but there's no real reason to. And I'm gonna drop that presser foot down, and now I'm gonna do basically the same seam allowance, but just with a single fold. And of course, I'll do the same to the other side, and I'll walk you through the elastic, and we're almost already finished. See you in a second. And there we are. We have all 4 sides hemmed. And of course, you'll want to take a moment and cut those little thread whiskers, but we'll do that a little bit later. Now, before I can adhere the elastic to this, what I want to do is I want to do a rolled edge, basically a single fold, and to the wrong side. So right now, I'm double checking. I have the hem that I've just created. It's here on the table. So I'm going to come and I'm just going to fold this over about 1/4 inch. Right now, and I'm going to take it to the machine. And what I've learned is, even though I've flipped it over like this, is you want to manage the bulk. And so sometimes I find it's easier to put the bulk of the skirt up on top. Sometimes it's easier to put the bulk of the skirt below. So if you're struggling with getting that hole, or if it feels like the fabric is getting stuck up underneath the machine, then all you have to do, because that was one of the things I experienced at home. So I thought, gosh, if it's such a simple project, what else can I teach us about fabric management, right? So if I'm going like this and I want the bulk of the machine or the skirt up on the outside, now I'm coming in this way. And I'm actually setting the top stitch the other direction. And I can see it either way, so it just depends on how you're most comfortable stitching. So this way now, you can see I've got the bulk set different, so I only have half of the skirt, so it's a little bit easier to manage and a little bit easier to see. And I know one of you smarty pantses at home is saying, well, gosh, Rob, if you did it the other way, you could see the raw edge too. So anyways, there's a lot of ways to skin this skirt and do what is most comfortable for you. Just make sure you don't stitch both sides together at this point. So let's get this circle basted, making sure I still have right sides correct. And I'm just taking a little raw edge hem around here. And this is just going to simplify my life when I go to adhere the elastic. And with sewing on the rayon, it does have a little bit more give, so be careful not to pull and tug too much. The give is a benefit for sewing, in my opinion, but we don't want to let it get away from us and stretch it too much. And we're going to actually use that trick here in a second as we do our elastic. So just take your time as you go around the circle. The other nice thing about this is the circle is going to have the gather at the elastic. The elastic is going to do the job of gathering it down to the waist size proper. So therefore, little ripples that might be caused in your stitching right now will not show up as issues. They just look like they're part of the actual gather. So if you've never sewn around a circle, do not be concerned with the movement. It's really simple. Plus, I just needed something to talk about while I finish my way around this little circle. We're almost done. I guess at this moment, while I have a few inches, I will definitely thank my dear friend Violet Kraft, who is a genius when it comes to sewing ideas. And she was the one who told me, oh, Ruby's enjoying sewing in that wonderful rayon. You gotta do a batik skirt with her. She would love it. So Violet, thank you again for always helping us out at Man Sewing. We love you dearly. All right, and we're almost finished here. And it's coming out so nicely, perfect. And I'm just gonna backstitch to lock those threads together there. So basically, you can see I've gone around the circle. I don't know if you can see the contrast there. I don't know if that helps a little bit, but this is the circle stitched. Now that is all prepared. All we needed to do is take that 27-inch piece of elastic and get ready. There is no wrong side really to the elastic, but we're gonna create one. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take and fold it right now. The elastic is cut to the true waist size. We're gonna lose about 1.5 inches, which will give us the security or allow elastic to do its job. That's what I'm trying to say, allow the elastic to do its job. So the first stitch is 1/4 inch back stitching up here at the top, that same poly thread, and back stitching here at the bottom. So that joined it, that created the circle itself. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna create a pretty side. So I'm just gonna fold this over now by about another inch. That's what allows the elastic to do its job. And then I'm gonna come in here and I'm gonna go ahead and just move my seam allowance out of the way at the moment. I don't think we'll need it later. And I'm going to sew down both of those folds I've created. Again, back stitching. And then the same on the other. Of course, you could use a little piece of your batik. I've seen it done very nicely where they do a little, it looks like a buckle, you know, or a little add-on on the outside, some decorative little embellishment around that to hide that casing looking. But anyways, I like this little belt look style here. So I'm gonna trim that off. Now, what we're gonna do is we're gonna insert this into the skirt. I'm gonna do it with a standard stitch. I'm not gonna use a stretch stitch, but you certainly could. I'm gonna show you how to let the elastic do its job, as I was saying. I am laying my skirt out so I can see the 4 corners. If you're using the circle version, just find where 4 corners are gonna be, fold it basically back to the way it was. What I want us to do is I want us to develop a back to the skirt. So this is gonna be on one of the far corners. That's gonna be the back to the skirt. And I wanna pin these right sides together. So what I'm gonna do is first find my pin cushion. Here, I've got a couple pins over here. And then let's be working with this so we're going right sides together. So I'm gonna anchor this, I'm gonna pin it, and I'm facing down here. Okay, so then at the other half of the elastic, I'm gonna set a pin, again, right sides together, on the other corner. I'm just gonna mark out the 4 corners of the elastic and the 4 corners of the skirt body as I go. And it doesn't have to be perfectly precise, as you can see, but we want to be somewhat close. There's that other corner, right sides together. Do pin it flat. And then the last one should be about there. And right sides together. Now, as I said, the magic is going to happen. Oh, I lost my pin. There's another one. I see it now. We won't be in trouble. We won't sew over it. Never sew over our pins. Okay? Now, we want to come to the sewing machine, and I want to be able to see, again, what I'm working on. So some of that, getting the bulk out of the machine, whatever works for you. And I'm going to start where there is 1 pin. And for me, I like to have the rayon on the feed dogs. I like to have the elastic on the top so I can see what's going on here. So I'm going to start just past that joining in the elastic we've created so that I'm not starting on a pin. I'm going to take a few stitches to lock it in place. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the elastic and I'm going to take just that section between the two pins and I'm going to pull and begin sewing. So I'm stretching the elastic to fit to the rayon, and I begin sewing and I adjust every few inches. And I'm respecting kind of that 1/4 inch seam allowance, and that's why I wanted that raw edge turned under one time. So I'm just going, and then as I get a little further, now what this is also doing for us is it's stretching the thread out so the thread won't break when we stretch the elastic on. So this is a spot where you're going to just take your time, tug on that elastic a little bit. Don't pull too hard while the machine's going though. Things could get a little out of control. And just keep that rayon fabric taut with that elastic as we go. And like I said, it's kind of self-gathering for us. And then I'm also rolling the skirt to keep the body of the rayon working for us as we go also here. Sorry, I'm a little focused right now here. Okay, so you can see I'm approaching that next pin and everything's going really nice. That's kind of how I judge myself. So if as I hit each pin, if I feel like I've had to really stretch at one section, well, maybe it's wise to stop and evaluate if it's looking nice. So again, I'm down here, coming around. I'm just going to stretch the elastic out till that fabric comes tight, kind of pinch it out here in the center. Now I've made several of these, and so it becomes a feel thing. You get really used to it, and I'm saying all that praying right now that it looks great when I'm done. The other cool thing about this elastic is it does come, I've seen it in varieties of colors out there, but do make sure you're getting the soft waistband style elastic. It's usually labeled that way. But I've seen it in white and gray as well as this cool black. And I should point out I was using black thread kind of as all of that accent to just pull it all together. So a lot of those design choices are based on the simple choices. I was using black elastic, so I'm using black thread. And here we are, we're actually coming into that 4th pinned area. We're coming into the very end here, the finish line we'll call it right now. I'm gonna pull this pin out of the way. Okay, I'm coming over that bulky seam, but I'm doing okay with it. I'm going to cut my threads here, and as I come out, I don't have any of those pins, so I should be able to just flop out my right sides, and I've got this beautiful skirt with all of the corners right there, and like I said, it took up just a little bit of that waistband, so when she puts it on, it'll hug her just nice and fit perfectly, and this Moda rayon is 100% rayon. Remember, that's part of the key to this cool project. The rayon comes in a variety of super cool patterns that are batik, so check them all out. As a matter of fact, down here in my samples, I did one that I thought would be really cool. This one I had fat quarters of, so I basically used 4 fat quarters. 4 fat quarters make 1 yard, brings you right back to the starting point where you can make your own awesome versions of these great skirts. So at any rate, I hope you enjoyed today's tutorial. In the comments below, I want to hear which of the first of the rayons that you picked up. I'm super excited about these fabrics. Enjoy them, and we'll see you next time at Man Sewing. Thanks for being a Man Sewing fan. It's great to have you out there encouraging me to create fantastic new content. If you've missed any of the videos, we've got links for you here and here. And while you're checking those out, make sure you're subscribed. We don't want you to miss any of the action.